Welcome to the portal. Join us as we collectively shift realities and shatter paradigms. I'm your host, Kalina Lux. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Well, hello again, everybody, Dero community, friends, and foes. It's been a long time, and it's about time that I get the dust off my mic and get some thoughts out here for you. Here's just a brief recap on why I've been relatively MIA from the Dero community. It's true. You probably know I ran off, I fell in love, and I got married. And I've been out of the Dero loop for like 2+ years, just, on the fringe, still checking in. But now that I've got some time on my hands, our home that we've been remodeling for about 1.5 years, is finally coming to an end. My home office is somewhat set up, and I'm thrilled to have some time to turn my focus back to Dero. I want to jump right into this today. The Derolytics Explorer. So for those of you who are not aware and are just arriving here new to the channel today, a couple of guys found a wallet level bug and it exploited that, which meant that certain wallets allowed some information to be decrypted, including addresses, amounts, and messages, which for the Dero community, of course, shattered us because I think, we used to believe we were invincible. However, like all tech, things can become more obsolete as time goes on and advances are made. So our time came and we had a breach. But this helps reframe things for us as a community, and I'm actually going to share some positive take-homes from this. One of my most profound take-homes from this is invincibility is, at best, temporary, as we will always see advancements in tech and information happening at all times from every angle. So to protect ourselves, we can, stay humble, avoid hubris, which I admit I was genuinely guilty of, and practice impeccable privacy protocols. All of these things, when put together, will give us maximum protection as opposed to what I was doing, just believing that we were completely invincible due to Captain's efforts. But in reality, privacy is our responsibility, and we should be proactive in how we approach it, which is what Captain teaches anyways. I think that this was a beautiful wake-up call for the Dero community, and hopefully by the end of my podcast today, we will all understand how this can help us move forward stronger and better. In my early days of learning Dero, Asylum tried to teach me about certain concepts, and particularly in regarding to using the name service and having a hot wallet and, another wallet that doesn't interact. And I was, pretty new to this whole world, and I didn't grasp what he was saying. But now, reading not all, but most of my messages that I've ever sent on the Dero blockchain to anybody, and seeing the majority of my transactions, I think I'm kind of getting the concept of what he might have been talking about. I'm going to do everybody a solid and put my take-homes first. My first take-home from exploring and sitting with the Derolytics Explorer, I feel like it's a pretty positive thing, considering I don't think any of us are doing anything horrible, right? There's no dark web stuff. It's all pretty cute stuff that we're doing on there, like art projects and little games and stuff. So nothing terrible has happened. And therefore, our data being breached isn't terrible at this level, right? And the world, sure, we've got things like Palantir coming online, but I think that we're learning these lessons early enough that we'll be able to take them in stride. So considering that nothing bad is happening so far, the Derolytics breach is kind of acting in service to us as a community to see how one might be able to view our assets in real time. Like anybody, right? Derolytics or AKA some other surveilling authority, we can find the errors that we've been doing as users and see the vulnerabilities of using different privacy protocols and practice with them in real time. So unless Captain wows us with some new tech that he's channeled from the privacy gods themselves, we should be aware and prepared. Nothing is 100% ironclad as we thought, especially me. Maybe perhaps I'm speaking to only myself here, but I genuinely thought Dero was like invincible. And perhaps I was a bit naive, or maybe we were as a community feeling that invincibility, that Dero was absolutely uncrackable. Perhaps it's not for the ironclad protection that we are using Dero, or we continue to use Dero in the future, as all things evolve. And with the onset of AI and quantum computing in time, even our highest tech available to us on the planet at the moment can at any time become obsolete because of the advances in technology. Our take home as a community, knowing what we know at this moment, let's do our due diligence and adapt and grow from the findings of this explorer. First thing, if your alias has been doxed, you may want to go ahead and burn it completely and start fresh. I do know, like just reviewing my own messages when I sent out the Illumidex, some people's addresses were sent in there. And in one case, I think somebody sent their real name. And it's up to you, right? Of course, like it's up to you to discover if that breach was worth it or not for you to burn your entire alias. But that might be something that you would do. For example, me with Kalina Lux, I'm not going to burn this alias. I have my face out in public. Many of you have met me. You know, I'm a real person. I'm not particularly hiding anything of this alias. I'm going to continue with Kalina Lex as far as I can, right? Unless I do become like a mother one day. Hopefully things may change, but for the moment, I'm here. There are things to consider if you're starting a new alias, right? A lot of privacy OGs will regularly burn their alias and like, oh, they set a timer. And when that time comes, whoops, okay, goodbye. And that's really hard because in Dero, a lot of those, you know, those characters that we've built online, they've become friends. They have real relationships. And my heart aches. I have, you know, friends that have burnt their aliases with impeccable dedication and privacy protocols, and I've never heard from them again. And I miss them, genuinely. You know who you are. It's not fair. It's not cool. But I get it, and I respect your decision. So that's something that you guys might want to consider. First, my first take home, if your alias has been doxed, you may want to go ahead and burn it and start fresh. New wallets with new pathways, so a fresh trade order account, a fresh wallet registered, and definitely don't name them, but we're going to get to that in the next take home. And don't cross interact with them. So keep your wallets separate. So don't name them, keep them separate, and don't send your Dero between wallets that have been doxed. Just start fresh, keep it isolated. My second take home is what we were just mentioning, name service. Use it sparingly and only for your hot wallets, because you can consider any name serviced wallet. Like if you've named your wallet, it's pretty much like it's doxed. And it's very, very simple to track and trace, especially for us, right? But also it's pretty easy to figure out who's who when you have names, and you can name your wallet a ton of things. Some people even put like their birth names in their wallet name. Don't interact with name services unless you absolutely know what you're doing. For example, if you're doing an NFT project, it might be cool to do that. You know, or if you have a burner account with your alias and you don't care what you're putting on the blockchain to be ever revealed one day, right? I think the shift for us as a Dero community is this. Previously, we thought we were invincibly private and nothing could touch us. I know I certainly did. Now we have to account for the future. At any point, we could be breached. So it's just an extra layer of protection for us. So the layer of protection that Dero gives us, we are still responsible for making sure all the other privacy protocols are intact. That being said, you may want to consider using the name service. And if you've named your wallet, make sure you figure out ways to have another wallet that has not been named. Okay, here's something super positive. On the Derolytics page, it shows the mining rewards and who just won the recent blocks. And it shows Captain is still mining. And you can see that if you go to the Genesis block, the very first block ever mined, and you click on Captain and you can trace, like, he's still mining, he's still with us. And he's also, from what I can deduce, now please verify for yourselves, I'm not an expert, I'm just sharing what I find. It also appears that Captain is part of several mining pools. And I was pleasantly surprised to see a bunch of mining pools out there. I got to give a shout out to Chalky Poo. You're doing great. And I really liked your website. I was impressed by it. I had not seen that. I didn't even know it existed. Goodness, I've been away for a little bit. Another thing that was pretty evident on there, you guys, Captain paid for a significant amount of our expenses for the Nonsensus conference. Like, he probably bought us all those epic meals. And of course, I know, shout out to Asylum and Cryptoid who broke their bank accounts, making Nonsensus happen for us. So gratitude for you guys on this. But Captain definitely made some significant donations for Nonsensus. So thank you, Captain. Okay, my fourth note. It's super important to note that the Derolytics data isn't 100% accurate. Now go in there and explore for yourself and you'll see what I mean. For example, if you click on I think there was a transaction from Captain that was allegedly sent to Trade Ogre. If you click it, you'll notice that there are several potential senders. Now, every one of those senders, if you go click on their account, will have that same transaction because they weren't able to decrypt exactly who was the sender. If there were 7 or 9 or however many potential senders, they all get that listed in their account as if it was their transaction. So be mindful to do your due diligence. The tool so far isn't 100% accurate. You can verify for yourself. Also, I saw, for example, I had an alleged, 2,000 Dero worth. I was shocked by this, so I went and clicked it, and that was exactly the case. There are other people on there who potentially could have made that transaction. So that's where those are coming from. So it's not particularly accurate with all of those. So do your due diligence. Also, Derolytics, the website claims that my hot wallet has a negative balance of Dero, a negative 1,078 Dero or something. But as we all know, you can't have a negative balance in Dero. So there's some, it's not perfect yet. They're still working out the kinks with that, it looks like. And when it comes to the messages, something very interesting happened. I saw most of the messages that I've sent out, but some of them weren't on there. And in an interesting case, I saw one message in particular that is attributed to somebody else's account, but I sent it. So there's some things on there that are not accurate. So don't use it as carte blanche truth. Always do your due diligence. One of the other things that seems to be potentially happening, sometimes the Dero gets registered as in, let's just say 10 Dero is 10. But sometimes it's showing with the atomic units with several zeros afterwards. And in some cases also, it potentially could be showing tokens with very high numbers being transferred, but it doesn't specify which is which. So Derolytics, if you're listening, it would be awesome if you could add something to clarify whether it's using atomic figures or it's a token. I'm hoping to present mostly facts today, but although I wanted to just briefly touch on some interesting theories I read in the Matrix chat today. Some people suspect that Derolytics is pulling an incredible bait and switch regarding Dero, as prices did pump a little bit from his quote-unquote FUD. And it does seem a bit odd that someone would dedicate all that effort into something that he claims to hate. But hey, to each their own, and I am personally very grateful to you, Mr. or Team Derolytics, because you've given us so much insight into our own privacy practices. And now we have the opportunity to make the necessary shifts early in the game. One of the things that I saw also in the Matrix chat that was inspiring to me, a reframe. Derolytics might not be the enemy here. Derolytics kind of just gave us our very own window into everything and a free auditing tool for us to test our smart contracts and things that we develop directly. And here's a quote from the Matrix chat that I think perfectly captures what we need to remember right now. He says, "We don't need to take down Derolytics to make it irrelevant. We just need to stop giving it something to display." Boom. I think that's an incredible reframe. Let's reframe this Derolytic Explorer not as a threat, but as a debugging tool, something that devs and users can use to test their privacy protocols and their decentralized applications. And this is not necessarily about fear, it's about evolution. I believe that as a community, we are stepping up, we are tightening up, and we're learning how to move smarter and learning how to take our responsibility back for our own privacy. So I think that that's it for today, you guys. I know I've been away for a while, but I'm back and it feels really good to be learning and discovering and just getting in the spirit of the Dero community again. How about you? Have you used the Explorer? What has it revealed to you about your setup? And what privacy habits do you think you'll be changing after seeing all this? Please drop me a line, share your findings, and let's stay sharp together. Until next time, this is Kalina Lux.